Ian's invaluable. Other adults in our children's lives, absolutely mandatory. It's invaluable because me going down to the school was without Jade's consent. She did not want me to do it. She did not want me to get involved. She did not want me, and a lot of times I am stymied out of respect for my daughter because she does not want me to get involved in this or to cause trouble there. She wants to handle it. Or she told me, I'll talk to Ian about it, or I'll talk to, and that's so important because she needs that parental or adult or mature support or encouragement, just saying, yeah, I think you're doing the right thing, here are some opportunities, I'm behind you, that she won't allow me to give sometimes because I'm the parent and I don't count. So that's absolutely key. So, you know, whether it's PFLAG or Odyssey Youth Center or some of the other organizations that are here, you know, the whole idea of community, you know, these children do need other adults in their lives other than their parents. Because when parents says you're good enough or you're cute or you're smart, the children don't believe it because it's coming from a biased source. But when it comes from an administrator, when it comes from an Ian, when it comes from other adults that they look up to, then they're emboldened, they're strengthened. And so I really want to stress that you know, as far as that goes, it's very important that we have these organizations. And so I applaud you for what you do in working with our youth, because the influence cannot be underestimated of having other adults in her life. So
I'd like to go back just for a minute to talk about how important it is to take the time as a staff in a school to adopt and acknowledge the importance of understanding what your mission is as a school, be able to articulate that in a way that gives you some direction and some goals, and understand the accountability that comes with that. And we work very hard at Shadle to do that, to develop a common mission about what is our purpose. And our purpose was to ensure that every student at Shadle Park High School received a quality education. Very short, very succinct statement. But then we began to ask ourselves, okay, so what does that mean? How do we address the issues with our students? Whether it's around poverty, whether it's around bullying and harassment, whether it's around depression, whatever it happens to be, how do we ensure that? And how do we pay attention in a way that we make that work? And so we came up with this idea that, you know, it's really important that Shadle Park High School is known as a socially just school. And every classroom is a socially just classroom. Okay, so what does that mean? Absolutely, it means that as a teacher, I need to have tremendous expertise around content and curriculum and instructional delivery. But it also means that I have to pay very close attention to the social and emotional needs of the students that come and are part of my life every day. And if you don't understand that, you can't create a socially just school. It's almost like it's on a fulcrum, and you have to keep it in balance. And certainly the academic press, the written, taught, and tested, you know, that part is extremely important. But the socially just piece is just as important. And if it gets out of balance, if you pay so much attention to the academic press piece that you don't acknowledge and pay just as much attention to the social needs and emotional needs of the kids and your teachers as well, you know, then you're out of balance. And it can be out of balance this other way as well. So we kind of use that as our model. I have to thank my friend and colleague Cindy McMahon for a book that she suggested. She came across a book called Wounded by School. Remember that, Cindy? So I purchased a book for every one of our staff, everyone. Secretaries, instructional assistants,
made us read it
teachers.
in a week.
We did a book study around Wounded by School. And it's a very powerful book. If you get a chance, I recommend that you read it. And it's anecdotal stories about adults who, in many, many different ways, had experiences in school that were very debilitating. But they rose above that and became very successful adults. And so after reading that book, I asked my staff, I said, now, it's important for us to examine our policies at Shadle and our practices at Shadle. And are there things that we do? Are there policies that we have in place that end up harming kids? And if so, what are we going to do about that? So it really, I think, gave the moral imperative for our staff to embrace what we were trying to do. And I really believe that with Henry and Matthew's passion around what's important for our gay and lesbian kids and acknowledging the needs that they have, embedded in this larger picture of who we are as a school and what our mission and what our purpose is, it really helped, I think, move it forward and sustain it. It was very gratifying, I think. And really the apex was last year when we were the first high school in the area to perform in Henry's drama department, Laramie Project, which has been so controversial in so many schools, whether it's North Idaho College or another high school, when they put it on and then wasn't able to. And then we had Dan Taylor and Terry Miller come and speak to a packed auditorium last year.
Dan Savage in high school.
Yeah, about Disney Springs. And so, and it was amazing how many straight kids came to hear the message. It's amazing how many straight kids came to see the Laramie Project and the message. It's amazing how many of our staff members came to hear it. So it's all those kinds of things, I think.
Well, in other schools, I know we also had a really cool equity con where we broke our school into 4 different sections of 100, or smaller sections, and instead of getting a lecture about equal rights, we put all of our student body in groups of 10, and we facilitate questions. Who gets picked on at our school? What group would you like to be in our school? What group are you happy you're not in our school because you might get pumped? And we had this conversation with groups of 10 and 11, all sitting in the cafeteria, and I walked around with this big garbage can, and I said to everyone, you know, bullies have too much garbage in their life, and they can't deal with it, so they bully people. Punks have too much garbage in their life, and they can't deal with it, so they get bullied. Who's got too much garbage at our school right now? And we sat there and watched all these kids talk, and we just divided it up amongst these 4 different things, and like everyone's like, best con ever, that was way cool. And but the cool thing was the kids felt like they had a voice, they were talking, and you'd see, and again, nothing bad about being a football player. We'd see 3 football players, a couple kids from the band, a couple choir kids, a couple kids who aren't participating in anything in hate school, all sitting there talking about like, well, I think this group is, I think that group is. And of course, we trained our leadership kids to make sure they could facilitate the conversation, and we were walking around amongst these groups. But it's pretty cool empowering the kids to have these conversations. And even if it's not going great at CV yet, all of our posters were yanked down for the first year or 2. And sometimes they still get yanked down. And administrators, it's like once you get over the hump of it being this, what's this gay straight alliance thing in our school, man? Why is our school a gay school? What? Once you get over the hump, it becomes blasé. No one, I mean, it's not an issue. There aren't people protesting or tearing down our signs or caring that why do these kids get a special claw? I mean, once it's just accepted at our school and people just know there's a gay straight alliance at our school, they got over it. And it just became a pretty normal part of it. We've got a juggling club, we've got the improv team, we've got the Gay Straight Alliance. It's a club. It's one of our organizations. It's the biggest club. It's one that has 60 kids showing up every week. I mean, the other clubs can't do it, but whatever. They're not very popular. But it was pretty cool. But safe places, you guys. Make sure you get stickers up in your names so that those kids who aren't ready to start or be advocates or have dads who have their back like yours, even when you don't want them to. Make sure you guys get stickers up in that one shop teacher or that home ec teacher or that math teacher who's got your back. Make sure you get stickers up in their room so those kids who aren't where you guys are yet see those stickers up, because that's key.
And I think that's the most frustrating thing for me is, you hurt for your children. And, the resistance, I mean, Jay took a class at CV, a Holocaust remembrance class. Wow. And it was semester long, year long? Semester long. Holocaust class. I mean, and so it's a semester long class. And really stressing and emphasizing the importance of why, this not be forgotten, why to be remembered. And that's amazing. That wasn't taught when I was going through high school. And yet, in this very same school, where they have a Holocaust class that takes up an entire semester, you know, she has difficulty finding teachers who want to be safe places, which is, again, frustrating for me. Because I want to go down there and, hey, and she's like, oh, Dad, I'll take care of it. So, you know, again, my concern is in some ways, I feel like she's pulling the weight by herself. Because the kids are sparse, they have about 5 or 10 show up each week, and she is so dedicated to it. I'm actually getting ready to leave for Japan for 3 years. And my wife and my youngest daughter are coming with me, but she's staying behind. And one of the reasons she wants to stay behind is because she does not want to see the GSA falter and peter out. Because I guess it attempted to start 2 or 3 times at CV. It's always crashed and burned. So she started it last year as a freshman. She's a sophomore this year. And she wants to stay, and she's so committed to it, she wants to stay and ensure that this organization thrives. And again, part of the frustration I feel is like, in so many regards, when I see the different things that the school has going on, the Holocaust class, great theater, great choir program, just so many different organizations, that this just can't seem to get any traction with the administration. I don't understand it. I'm flabbergasted. And again, that's just, you know, my perspective there on that, but that, I mean, it's so important. The safe spaces are so important for a kid just to see and say, no, this is a place I know will be understood, and I don't necessarily have to come out, but there's the sticker here, I can go talk to the teacher. And so again, trying to establish those in CV has been a bit of a struggle for Jade, and I just find that extremely frustrating.
As a graduate, and my first teaching job was at that school, I'm telling you, you're doing awesome as far as just plugging away, because sometimes I feel like I'm all by myself doing what I do. And sometimes you're going to feel that way when you're doing the right thing and trying to change the world. It's hard, but you just keep plugging away, because the fact that you're even making ground, you could have had that 6 years ago, you wouldn't have had any ground. You wouldn't have had the club. That t-shirt, I can't believe you can't do that t-shirt. You wouldn't have had the club 5 years ago. So even when you're plugging away and getting the conversation going and getting told no, there's a debate in that guy's head now, that gal's head that you had the debate with. I mean, it's just, sometimes it plows through with Herb and Henry, sometimes it whittles away. But it's the fight, you guys. It's just, look at the room, you know it's the fight, you guys know. But sometimes it's waves, and sometimes it's chiseling away, so keep chiseling, because it's progress. I mean, what you're complaining about is legitimate, and yet, holy cow, you have one at CV. UI doesn't have one yet. I mean, West Valley, do they?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, okay. But dies off and on. But I know West Valley can't get one going. I know lots of schools can't get one. At one point, Ferris had the biggest. Now Ferris doesn't have a big one. Sometimes LC had. Now Shadow's going to have the biggest. You know, it ebbs and flows. You know, but you keep plugging away.
Might I make a point that there are several organizations in town that might be able to, had we known about the problem, for instance, not the T-shirts, that one of those organizations might have been able to print up the T-shirts. Maybe they couldn't have sold them at school, but we could have sourced for them, and they could have bought them from us, and students could have bought them from us, and gotten around that problem. That's why so many organizations are involved, because we want to know what little ways can we help.
Okay, I just want to make a point here. My dad gets a lot of things wrong with it. A t-shirt is a poster.
Okay, posters.
There's a poster, I'm sorry.
Whatever it is.
This is some of what we'll be talking about in the breakout groups too, is kind of diving into this and figuring out what we can do. So we've got a couple minutes left on this panel.
I got to plug one thing too. All the kids in GSAs, make sure you guys get on Shadow's GSA Facebook page, because we have parties all the time. Like the Rogers kids show up. Rogers has an awesome advisor. Rogers kids show up, the NC kids shows up, West Valley kids show up. But we have parties. We've had like 4 parties this year. Like it's like we have the movies in the auditorium, we have dances in the black box, and they're super friendly. They're friendly to all. Come hang out. But then we get on our Facebook page, you guys, because our GSA kids would love to see you guys at their parties.